I would now like to invite up the Director of the Community Outreach for Democratic Club of the High Desert, Brandon Zavala. And also LULAC President, Javier. Flores.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Javier Flores, President of Antelope Valley League of United Latin American Citizens. It's a great privilege and an honor to be here today in solidarity with this community. It's not just African Americans that are here today. We have individuals of every race, every nationality. We're all here today. Certainly the Latino community is here today. We want everyone to know that we stand here in solidarity with you. Now the reason for that, aside from what Bishop Hearn said, that we are all human, aside from that, as Latinos, we know that we suffer the same oppression that are suffered by many in the African American community. We know this. We cannot understand why we've been divided, African Americans and Latinos, the way we have. But I can tell you, all my life, I've understood the need to bridge that gap. We have the same struggle ahead of us. We are suffering the same oppression, and if we could unite, we could overcome that. We will unite, we will overcome that. Absolutely, we will overcome that. We've started already. Now, I have in front of me it's actually a flyer paying tribute to two of our civil rights leaders. One, Martin Luther King, and the other one, Cesar Chavez. Many of you will speak to Martin Luther King. I want to just briefly say something about Cesar Chavez. For our youth today, he is incredibly important as a role model for two main reasons. Didn't go to he went to high school, but he didn't go to college. All right? And he still managed to change the world. This is a high school graduate. That's all he had. And he managed to change the world. And how did he do it? In a non-violent manner. He had the same approach as Gandhi, the same approach as Martin Luther King, and he too absorbed that philosophy and took it with him in his movement for justice and dignity for all mankind. So to our youth, the message of Cesar is this: you can change the world. You don't have to be a high school graduate, but certainly you should. You should try it, but if you don't manage it, you can still do good. That's the message of Cesar Chavez. And the other is you can change the world non-violently. You don't have to use violence. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. My name is Brandon Zavala. I'm 20 years old. I study political science at Antelope Valley College. I've grown up in the Antelope Valley my entire life. I'm a second-generation Mexican-American immigrant. My parents tell me the story about their first refrigerator when they first got married was a styrofoam box. And that's how they kept the milk cold for my brother. But for the past 8 years, my father has raised me as a single parent. You don't hear that too often, a single dad raising his boy. My mother died when I was 12. I remember after she died, and one of the reasons why I study political science and why I've decided that's my life is because I realized that I don't have my whole life. I don't have infinite years, infinite knowledge. I don't have the opportunity that God has. will return to his kingdom. And the problem I have is I realize there's no better way of spending my life than in dedication of service to others. There's no better ways than helping others, than loving others. it reminds me of one of the things that brought solace to my life after my mother died was my faith. I grew up Roman Catholic. One of my favorite pieces of scripture was Romans 14. For none of us lives to himself, and no one dies to himself. For if we live to the Lord. And if we die to the Lord. Therefore, whether we live or die, we are the Lord's. For to this end Christ died and rose and lived again, that he might be the Lord of both the dead and the living. Why do you judge your brother? Why do you show contempt for your brother? For we shall all stand before the judgment seat of Christ. I've lived in the Antelope Valley long enough to know that, unfortunately, and as sad as it is, racism never went away. People tell you the Civil Rights Passed Act and it's been renewed. But that faith it renews because it is a constant battle. It is a constant struggle. But I used to tell myself, one of my favorite pieces of literature tells me, crowded tonight are the streets of heaven, for they contain the angels of the old. And I think to myself, the problems that we face, do we have the capacity to meet those challenges? See, last night I didn't know what to say. I couldn't think of what I was going to say here tonight. And I was relatively nervous. Veronica dropped it on me last night. She said, I need you to talk. And I picked up my favorite book, actually my favorite speech by one of my favorite women. Her name is Sojourner Truth. And I read the speech, Ain't I a Woman? And I remembered it was a political science project. My political science professor went, go back and change that to say, Ain't I a human being? I realized that hearts filled with bitterness and anger, especially after the Trayvon incident, bitterness will never heal hearts, and hearts filled with anger only produce more. My favorite passage, the one that my mother used to tell me, Luke 17:23. For they will not say, here it is, or there it is, for the kingdom of heaven lies within you. And I think that's what we have to go forward with here today, is that the change you want to see, the world you want, you're tired of injustice, you're tired of anger, you're tired of violence, you're tired of hate, you're tired of people talking down to you because you have a different pigment color to your skin because that's the way God made you. If you have a problem with that, the solution lies within you. The solution lies within your capacity to meet those challenges, and history has shown that those capacities may very well be limitless. It's why I stand here as Hispanic, but I'm more than willing to stand with my brothers who are gay or lesbian or black, Hispanic, Asian, Native American. It doesn't matter who you are. Are we not all children of Christ? Thank you.
Thank you, Brandon. Thank you, Javier.